a Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. How the 49ers can have success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. That's what we're talking about in this one. And it's not going to be an easy proposition. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been good in a few areas, and one of those is run defense. Now, last week against Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks got things going on the ground with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. They got things going through the air because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary is depleted. They continue to have injuries. I mean, Zion McCollum was seen yesterday in a cast, in a sling. This is just something they're dealing with right now. The way the 49ers have been dealing with injuries this season, it's stacking up against Tampa Bay. Stacking up on offense, they could be, without their two big pass catchers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. It looks like both of them aren't going to play. We kind of expected that from Evans, but Godwin, a fibula injury. So you're seeing two teams that are beat up. These are two of the best teams in the NFC. Both of these teams come into this game 4-1, but they're not coming into this game unscathed. They're coming in with a lot of backups that are going to have to step up and make some plays. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, though it hasn't been a world beater defense, it's been able to help this team compete. Now, they give up over 26 points per game. They're not very good in the red zone, which is one of the areas the 49ers have to have success in. But with the injuries as secondary, it's going to provide the 49ers some opportunities. Now, the question for the 49ers always going into every week is how much of the run game do you want to rely on? How much does it matter to get Christian McCaffrey going? Can it be just what you did against the Rams, where you use the run to really just keep the defense honest, to kind of use some of those snaps to kind of wear them down a little bit, and you stick with the passing game? Well, we'll see. Todd Bowles is a very aggressive play caller when it comes to defense. He always has some unique looks, some blitzes, and we've seen him come after Brock Purdy when Brock Purdy had his first start versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They came after him. They came after him hard. First play of the game, Purdy ate it. So he definitely is aggressive. He may want to get after Mac Jones. They do have some pretty good edge rushers. So we're just going to go through. We're going to talk about, the things that are going on with Tampa Bay's defense, where the 49ers could attack, maybe some vulnerabilities within the 49ers offensive line or vulnerabilities within this offense in general. And we're going to set it up, how the 49ers are going to be able to have success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the title sponsor of 49ers Cutback. So let's get right into it. And I thought that one of the most interesting things was the injuries that are kind of hitting one particular group of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is cornerback. And I think if you watch the second half against the Seattle Seahawks last week, you see that it really started to take effect down the stretch of that game when they were really just going off on Tampa Bay secondary. Sam Darnold was throwing the ball all over the place. Jackson Smith-Njigba was going over 100 yards. They were hitting vertical routes to Derek Young. They were just having a lot of success pretty much all through the air. And so the 49ers are coming in, and they've been dealing with a depleted wide receiver room, but it's getting a little bit of a boost. Jauan Jennings practiced yesterday. Jauan Jennings is likely to play in this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which means your top three wide receivers heading into this game, Jauan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, who just went off for over 140 yards through the air from Mac Jones. They have a real synergy together. And then Demarcus Robinson, who showed some things against his old team last week, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. You have three formidable options at wide receiver now, and Tampa Bay is going to have to match it. Now, normally, you would say, well, Zion McCollum is going to be the best cornerback that Tampa Bay has. They're going to, he's going to do a really good job. But when he showed up and didn't practice on Thursday, and he's got a thumb procedure that he underwent, and Todd Bowles uses the claim that he's hopeful he's going to be able to play, what are you going to get? Is he going to be playing in a cast? Is that what Zion McCollum's going to do? I think that's plausible. He could definitely do that. But what will that mean as far as him, being able to get his hands on, get physical with wide receivers? Because the 49ers are putting out 3 physical wide receivers, not to mention Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who will be wide receiver 4 for the 49ers. Between those 4 guys, they're big, they're physical. They all have the ability to run a little bit. Now, Juwan Jennings doesn't run fast, but he's able to create separation. So it creates some unique and interesting looks. And McCollum's injured, and he's not the only one. The good news for the Buccaneers is that Jamel Dean did return to practice. Now, he is limited in practice dealing with a hip injury. Don't know if Jamel Dean's going to play. He did not play last week. So you're looking at a interesting dynamic here for Tampa Bay. Jacob Parrish, the young guy out of K-State, he will be the starting nickel corner. No questions about that. So you know what you're going to get out of Jacob Parrish. He's a talented guy. He's got a lot of room to grow. 49ers have a nickel corner in Upton Stout. Talented guy, got a lot of room to grow, but they go out there and compete. Now, I will say this. I think Upton Stout so far this season has looked better than Jacob Parrish. But it doesn't mean Jacob Parrish is not up to the task. He's a talented individual. He's going to be good in a couple of years for sure. Kendall Vidor is probably going to be one of the starting corners for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I don't think Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean play, but I could be wrong. Maybe they both play. Both dealing with injuries. I think that's the best outcome for the Buccaneers. If they can have McCollum, Dean, and Parrish as their 3 corners, I think they'd feel good. But there's a good chance Kendall Vidor is going to be out there or Josh Hayes. So the 49ers have an opportunity here. They've been having to throw the football a lot. Teams have been really playing off coverage. They've been giving them underneath routes. They've been allowing Mac Jones to be a check down merchant. Last week, most of the throws were 12 yards in. And they've been sitting back and trying to take away the plays that Kyle Shanahan loves the most. They're trying to take away those deep crossing patterns. They're trying to take away any of those plays that he loves to go to. And so Kyle Shanahan just decided, all right, that's fine. We'll start running things that are more underneath. We'll start getting 5, 6, 7-yard receptions. And a lot of times the 49ers wide receivers or Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk, Jake Tunges, other guys who were involved in the passing game will get a couple extra, maybe even 3 or 4 extra, convert on first downs. So when does the defense decide that this method of cut by a win by 1,000 cuts is no longer a sustainable option? You're just going to have to come up and not allow these plays to consistently happen and kind of take some chances on there being that intermediate concept that comes open. I think that Todd Bowles could be the guy that kind of tilts between the two. That sometimes they get deep drops, they take away those deep over routes, and they allow you to check it down underneath. And I think sometimes he's going to be the other way. He's going to come with the blitz, he's going to press everything underneath, and he's going to make your offensive line pick up those guys, and he's going to make Mac Jones hit one of those intermediate routes over the middle. So I don't think it's going to be as simple as what he was getting from Chris Shula's defense last week with the Los Angeles Rams, where you kind of knew what they were running. It wasn't really complicated. They stayed in the same, shell, and so it was easy for Mac Jones. I think that Todd Bowles is going to mix it up a little bit. I think he's going to look to bring some pressure. And with that, the 49ers wide receivers are going to have some big opportunities. Because I do believe that Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum, they're talented. But the 49ers wide receivers have an opportunity, especially with them dealing with injuries, to make some plays. And so this is going to be one of those big matchups in this game. And who would have thought, as 49er fans, within the last 3 weeks or so, that we'd be talking about the 49ers wide receivers having an advantage, that the depth of the 49ers wide receivers was going to be a clear advantage against an opposing team's cornerback room. That was tough to believe when you had all the injuries. The 49ers are going to be without Ricky Pearsall in this game. They're going to be without Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. Yet they have enough weapons to go out there and really put some pressure on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. So Mac Jones has to continue to take what the defense gives him. And this is what I went with last week. I kept saying this, is it doesn't matter if they want you to be a check down merchant or if you get a shot. Whichever one you get, take it. And I think Mac Jones has done a pretty good job with that. He takes what the defense gives him. He doesn't try to force too many throws. And he's willing to just say, okay, 3 yards to McCaffrey, let him turn that into 6. And it's very good for the 49ers offense. It keeps them in rhythm. It keeps them on the field. It keeps convertible third downs. And ultimately, that's what you want. So I think that, worst case scenario for the 49ers, Zion McCollum is able to play with the cast. Jamel Dean's able to tough out the hip. And Jacob Parrish is playing in the nickel. But I still think that those are good matchups for the 49ers. I think Zion McCollum will do a good job. I think Jawan Jennings is going to be difficult for him. I think Demarcus Robinson is also somebody that can have an occasional catch here and there on Zion McCollum. I think when it comes to Jamel Dean, I think they can all have success against him, especially with him, with the hip. You're going to have to get in and out of your breaks. And I love the size advantage against Jacob Parrish in the slot. All 3 of those guys can play in the slot. And so you've got an advantage when it comes to size. Every one of the 49ers wide receivers they're going to put out there are over 6 foot tall. They're over 200 pounds. They can play with physicality. And so I think that that's an advantage for the 49ers as well. So that would be where I would start. 49ers wide receivers versus the Tampa Bay secondary, mainly corners. When you look at the safety room's pretty good for Tampa Bay, which they're going to be helping out with these wide receivers, but they also got to worry about other guys as well. Jake Tunges, occasionally Christian McCaffrey or Kyle Juszczyk. So it's not as simple as just lining it up and letting these guys go help. So that's something to remember as well, is these guys are going to need those opportunities to get out there and make some plays for this 49ers offense. So let's go to matchup number 2. And this one is going to be a concerning one for the San Francisco 49ers, because Vita Vea is going to present some difficulties for the 49ers. We already know that the interior portion of the 49ers offensive line doesn't exactly get interior push, but we also have question marks about Connor Kobe. He's been struggling over the last couple of weeks. So what are you going to do with Vita Vea? And I think this is a big reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense has been so good. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense has been able to slow teams up. Now, I talked about the Seahawks having success last week. Part of the reason they had success last week is they were able to get on the edge. They were able to get outside and take advantage of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out there. Because one of the things that hurts is not having those corners that could step up. Jamel Dean, he helps in run support. Zion McCollum helps in run support. So there's an opportunity here. I also believe the 49ers are probably going to look to run the football a little bit in 11 personnel. That means they were going to have 3 receivers on the field. I talked about the size advantage for the 49ers when you're talking about the big wide receivers. There's an advantage for your big wide receiver on Jacob Parrish. And so I think that sometimes you can kind of get them in nickel and then be able to run the football a little bit. So I look for them to do that. But let's talk about dealing with Vita Vea. Vita Vea has definitely slowed down a little bit when it comes to athleticism. His pass rush is not quite as good as it used to be, but he's plenty good enough. And you watch him, and he's able to get an interior push, and that's one of the concerns, because the 3 guys that are on the inside are not exactly the best when it comes to certain characteristics of playing offensive line and pass protection. Now, I do think Dominic Puni has the best anchor of the 3 inside. So Vita Vea versus Dominic Puni is the matchup the 49ers ultimately want. The likelihood is Vita Vea is going to line up on Connor Kobe a lot. He has enough speed to force Connor Kobe to worry about him moving laterally. He also has enough of a bull rush to drive Connor Kobe back into Mac Jones. And with Mac Jones, he's not a guy that really escapes the pocket and creates off-schedule plays. He's able to get the ball downfield the way Brock Purdy does. He's a pocket guy. So that's going to force him to move. That's not going to leave him the opportunity to step up, which means if they get an outside push from Hassan Reddick, from Yaya Diaby, that's going to put Mac Jones in a little bit of a predicament. So dealing with Vita Vea is going to be important. Now, what the 49ers want to do, they want to be able to double. They want to be able to help Vita Vea. The problem is, you also have to help Colton McKivitz on Hassan Reddick. It can. This is why I think that Todd Bowles is going to blitz. If you show blitz up the middle with Levante David, for instance, you might not be able to get the double on Vea and get a one-on-one situation. So I worry about Vita Vea helping when it comes to rushing the passer. And I also worry about the 49ers being able to deal with him when it comes to running the football. I think it'll be very intelligent for the 49ers to get the ball on the edges, to get the ball outside, to run outside zone plays, make Vita Vea run, kind of try to wear this guy down. He's got a good motor. He's very athletic for his size. But getting him on the move, that will take some of the pressure away of the 49ers interior offensive lineman having to move him. I don't think he's a guy you can just straight move, that you can get movement on. I think that they're going to have to trap him as well, bring a guard and hit him. They're going to have to do some different things with Vita Vea and create have a creative blocking scheme to be able to deal with him consistently. I think that's a tough matchup for the 49ers that if they can figure out is going to be good. So expect them to invite the defensive line to be aggressive sometimes, hit them with screens, hit some swing passes, continue to stretch out this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team horizontally, and let's see what Todd Bowles does if he tries to come up in the box and load it up and give the 49ers those shots. That's what's going to be interesting. But Vita Vea lined up over Jake Brendel or Vita Vea lined up over Connor Kobe, and the 49ers absolutely have to give him help. So I expect, especially when you get to third down, stay ahead of the sticks. If you get to like 3rd or 7, 3rd and 8, and they can show blitz with a simulated pressure and be able to, engage Jake Brendel or engage one of those guards with somebody else and not be able to give help on Vita Vea, I think that could be a problem for the 49ers. Now, I brought up Colton McKivitz for a second, and this is one of those matchups I think the 49ers need to be concerned about because we just seen Byron Young, who's completely built on speed, give Colton McKivitz problems against the Rams. Colton McKivitz is a good right tackle in the NFL. He's very sufficient. He's definitely been getting better. But Byron Young exposed his struggles with extreme speed. And that's any offensive lineman, especially offensive tackles. Speed kills. And Byron Young gave Colton McKivitz fits last week. So I expect for Hassan Reddick to try to give him fits the same way he did when he played for Philadelphia. And I think this is a matchup that Colton McKivitz is going to have to play a little bit better at. Now, I don't know why the 49ers didn't give a little bit more help to Colton McKivitz last week. Maybe it was concerns about Connor Kobe. But I think that's some more concerns this time, is having to worry about Connor Kobe over there and Colton McKivitz over here. Can you slide protection towards Vita Vea? Then do you have to chip out here on Hassan Reddick while Trent Williams is dealing with Yaya Diaby, or opposite, right? So I think this is going to be an interesting chess match to see how Kyle Shanahan gives help to Colton McKivitz, especially on 3rd and long. The 49ers cannot fall into too many 3rd and long situations. Tampa Bay has the necessary guys to get it done, to come after you. They have interior pass rush. They have exterior pass rush. They have guys who can blitz. They have a creative play caller in Todd Bowles who can bring pressure. So Hassan Reddick versus Colton McKivitz is going to be interesting. Now, when it comes to the run game, that is where I expect the 49ers to have an advantage over Hassan Reddick. But how much is Reddick going to be in there on 1st and 2nd down against Colton McKivitz? Because that is advantage 49ers. So where it's a weakness on 3rd down, it's an advantage in the early downs. The 49ers are going to have to make sure they take advantage of them, which means when Reddick's not on the field, those are good opportunities to throw the ball as well. So personnel, once again, for Kyle Shanahan and this group, very important. Know what your personnel grouping is and get the matchups that you really like. And I think one of those matchups that the 49ers like is running the ball at Hassan Reddick and then passing when he's not in the game. Now, Yaya Diaby's not exactly a slouch either. He's got a mixture of speed and power. He's going to be tough to deal with for Trent Williams. He's going to be tough to deal with for Colton McKivitz when he lines up there. But I do believe that, Diaby's a little bit of a better matchup than Reddick because of the speed, and mainly because we just seen the speed of Byron Young really give Colton McKivitz problems. It was the first time Colton McKivitz was somewhat exposed this season. Other than that, he's played a really clean season. So 49ers offensive line, this is one way to make sure that you move the balls to neutralize Hassan Reddick's ability to get home to Mac Jones, who's a stationary target. He's a pocket mover. And so that's something that they're definitely going to have to make sure that they pay attention to, because you just can't allow the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get after Mac Jones and sack him a bunch of times. Mac has not been sacked very much. He did a really good job last week, only one sack, and that came in overtime. So you're seeing that he's been able to get rid of the football. But what will Todd Bowles do? Will he squeeze it down, make it tougher for Mac Jones to find his hot routes? I think that's a possibility. I think they'll try to make things a little bit more complicated when it comes to reads for Mac Jones, than he's already got. And that's always something to be concerned with. As far as other defensive linemen, the 49ers have to be concerned with. Logan Hall, Greg Gaines, those guys are going to be your 5 techs. You have Hassan Reddick, you have Yaya Diaby that are going to play outside. And so the 49ers have to be able to find that area to run the football. The thing is, they've been going against the same defensive schemes when it comes to alignment. 5-man fronts, 2 linebackers. This has been pretty consistent. Will Todd Bowles stick with the 2-eye safety look? Will he be more aggressive? I say he ends up being more aggressive. And that's something that's definitely going to play out in this game. And if you want to be aggressive and bet, you can bet with FanDuel. The 49ers right now are a 3-point underdog to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. But 3 points we know is pretty consistent with a home field advantage. So if you think the 49ers are going to win, you can bet on the 49ers to cover. The money line is the 49ers are at plus 134. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at minus 158. And the over-under is 47.5. They have same-day game parlays. They have all kinds of quick bets, popular bets as well that you can take a look at. You can even get an alternate spread where you can bet depending on what you think the spread should be. So lots of opportunities. They have player props. Bet with FanDuel. Now let's get back into it because I do want to talk about Christian McCaffrey versus the linebackers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Levante, David, and Dennis. Dennis is a good linebacker as well. David is one of those guys that's just been doing it for so long. He understands what he's supposed to do. But the 49ers have continually found matchups that play in the 49ers' favor when it comes to Christian McCaffrey. All you have to do is early on in that game, it was McCaffrey, and the second touchdown, he goes to 23 personnel, 2 running backs, 3 tight ends. They get the Rams to get a heavy defensive line set in there, multiple linebackers, and they move Tungus and Christian McCaffrey out. When they do, they get linebackers on both of them, and McCaffrey runs a simple out and beats Reader to the pylon for the touchdown. So Kyle Shanahan knows how to get those matchups for Christian McCaffrey, and that's going to be something the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is going to worry about. Now, is it just going to be David and Dennis against McCaffrey? No, it's not. I can guarantee you there's going to be some looks where you're going to have Christian McCaffrey lined up out there in the slot going against Jacob Parrish. I know that they're going to want to bring up Antoine Winfield sometimes to cover Christian McCaffrey or even Tyke Smith, and I think that those are good options for them. But McCaffrey is a advantage for the 49ers against almost any grouping, linebacker or secondary, minus your number one corners. He's just got so much ability to get out there and make some plays with his good route running and his ability to get open. And we're just seeing him tear it up, right? He just continues to get over 80 yards receiving. It feels like every single game, over 100 yards of offense every single game. He is effective right now in every aspect that Kyle Shanahan's asking him to be effective in. And so this is one of those matchups. And David is a very good linebacker. And I think him and McCaffrey are going to have a absolute collision in this one. But I give the upper hand to McCaffrey. I think that, we see McCaffrey was able to do this stuff against Devin Lloyd and some of the Jacksonville Jaguars linebackers. He's been able to do it against Landman and Reader and the Rams linebackers. He's consistently been able to line up against the best linebackers in this league and do a really good job. And I think this is no different. I think McCaffrey's going to be an advantage for the 49ers. He's a safety blanket for Mac Jones. And the way that Kyle Shanahan's using him right now as the number one weapon of this offense, he engages defensive eyes more than anybody else. So wherever McCaffrey's lining up, that's the first thing they find. They're locating McCaffrey. He's in the slot. He's in the backfield. He's out wide. He's motioning. All the movement that McCaffrey has is what gets everybody's eyes on him. So even when he doesn't have the ball, even when he's not influencing the play directly with his ability to catch the ball or run the ball, he's influencing the play by how personnel is having to read him. Most times, defenses would sag, play a little bit deeper, and they're coming up on McCaffrey and allowing Kendrick Bourne and other guys to get behind them and make plays. So Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing. He's finding advantages for Christian McCaffrey, and then he's finding opportunities to get advantages for other people. I'll go through the 2 red zone opportunities last week. The first one, McCaffrey motions to the left. As soon as he does, everybody moves. Linebackers, everybody move. Jake Tunges, wide open, 6-yard touchdown. McCaffrey's effect helping somebody else. The next one, the one I talked about with Reader, they sent him out. He's one-on-one with a linebacker. All she wrote, touchdown. So you see the way that they do it. It works both ways. It can create an opportunity for McCaffrey, or it can create an opportunity for somebody else. And right now, that's why it's so important for Christian McCaffrey to be on the field. He is getting things done until the 49ers get their weapons back. Now, they're going to have Juwan, but they're still waiting to get back George Kittle and others. Now, Mac Jones versus the blitz of Todd Bowles. And the reason I say that is with Mac Jones being a stationary target, he can't exactly get a lot of movement. He's not going to get outside the pocket and create too many opportunities. He could do it here and there. He could take off and run, get a little bit of yards here and there, 5 to 7, depending on the situation. But he's not a scrambler. He's not a guy that's going to extend plays and create outside the pocket with off-schedule throws. He's going to win from within the pocket. He's going to win with quick processing power, getting rid of the football quickly and finding his receivers and letting them do the work. Well, Todd Bowles knows that. So if he can speed up the internal clock of Mac Jones, he's going to do that. Now, of course, if Mac can't pick up those guys early, well, then you get some big-time plays and you can sack Mac Jones. So I expect that to happen. I expect some fire zone blitzes, them to be aggressive, drop guys out, send guys. This is one of those things a 3-4 defense definitely provides some opportunities to do. So Mac Jones has to be very deliberate with his reads. Now, Kyle Shanahan does a great job of motioning and moving and shifting guys to reveal coverage. Did it a lot last week. And Mac Jones did a really good job of picking up what the defense was showing him. Different motions and different shifts opened up certain things, and he took advantage of it. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a cat and mouse game. I think that if Mac Jones is successful finding the hot routes, the 49ers are going to move the ball consistently down the field on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Because when they take those chances in the zone, in the blitz, if you make them pay, well, that means all of a sudden they're going to have to sit back a little bit. When they do, that's going to give you more opportunities. So I think that Mac Jones is more than capable with the way that he processes information, the way that he goes through his reads in this offense. It's not, he's not a master at this offense, but he's definitely continuing to progress. He looks comfortable. And so I think that he's got what it takes to kind of go out there and take advantage of what Todd Bowles gives him, but make him pay for blitzing. If you don't, he's going to come after you all game long. And so this is going to be one of those big parts of the 49ers game is going to be making sure Mac Jones knows where to get rid of the ball and not turning over the football. You can't turn it over against Tampa Bay and expect to win. Now, Tampa doesn't create a lot of turnovers. They've only created 4 turnovers so far this season, which is a surprise. 49ers are only at 5, but they do a good job taking care of the football. So you got to win the turnover battle. You've got to win the opportunity in the red zone, and that's the biggest way the 49ers are going to win this game. Red zone effectiveness. Tampa Bay gives up touchdowns at 71%. That is not good at all. Even as bad as Nick Sorensen's team was last year, it didn't get that bad very consistently. So this has been a problem for Todd Bowles in the red zone. I think a lot of it has to do with the secondary. 49ers absolutely have to score. Now, Mac Jones has done a pretty good job in the red zone, but last week they were just 2 of 5. They need to go over 50%. I do believe they can go over 50% this week inside the red zone with Mac Jones, with the return of Jawan Jennings. I think they're going to have enough weapons between the 3 receivers that are up top, the tight end Jake Tunges, who's proven to be a red zone threat, and then Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk, who also are going to have some opportunities. So I like this for the 49ers. I like this matchup. It's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be easy, but I do think they have the necessary guys to go out and get it done. And I think Mac Jones is still good enough to go down to Tampa Bay and be able to get a win over Baker Mayfield. But that Tampa Bay offense, they're going to score points. 49ers need to score points as well. 21 points that the 49ers average this season is not going to get it done in this one. That's at least what I think. I think it's going to take a little bit more than that to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do believe the injuries on offense to Tampa Bay could stifle their offense, but I have so much respect for Baker Mayfield that I'm saying he scores some points in this game. I'm not saying maybe 21 would be enough. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough, though. I think Mac Jones and the 49ers are going to have to go score some points to beat Tampa Bay. They're really tough. This is going to be a good one. And, of course, tomorrow I'm going to go with the game preview show come through. I'm going to go with my bets of the week, the Wow That's Bold predictions. Go through all of the key matchups, the keys to victory. It's going to be a fun one, so come through and check that out. I really appreciate you all coming through. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode was brought to you by FanDuel. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.